We're ready to move on to Chapter 2.6, Sales Tax, sorry about that, Tips and Markups. Well, we're going to learn today to find the sales tax and the total cost of an item and to find tips and markups. Now, sales tax is something that we pay every day when we buy something. It's an additional amount of money charged on items people buy. Tip is when we go out to dinner or lunch and we go to a restaurant. It's also known as gratuity, and it's a small amount of money we leave to the server for their service. Gratuity is also known as tip, so they're the same things. It is a small amount of money in return for a service. Now, when we go shopping, markup is the amount the price of an item is increased above the price the store paid for the item. So, for example, if the store buys it at $1 and they sell it for $2, they've marked it up by $1, which is 100%. The selling price is the amount the customer pays for the item. So in that previous example, we paid $2. That would be the selling price. Make sure you copy all of this into your notes. Now, let's look at our first example. Drew wants to buy exercise equipment that costs $140, and the sales tax is 5.75%. What is the total cost of the equipment? Well, there are two ways that we can do this. The first way is to add the sales tax to the regular price. So I'm going to write that down. First way, add tax to price. And how we do that is we find the sales tax. So we're going to have T equals the sales tax. And then we go back to that part equals percent times whole. Remember that? Part equals percent times whole. Okay, so T is our part because that's our sales tax. T equals 5.75% times our whole, which is $140. Well, if you remember, we have to move that decimal over two places, 1, 2, and I fill it in with a 0. So we get T equals 0.0575 times 140. If we use our calculator, we get that the tax is equal to $8.05. So now if we take that $8.05 and we add it to our original cost of $140, we get $148.05. So that's our final cost. That's the first way of doing it. Now the second way of doing it is to add, this is way 2, add the percent of the tax to 100%. And what that means is the cost is $40, right? That's 100%. So if we do 100% plus the 575, that gives us $105.75%. The 100% is the total cost plus the tax cost. Okay, so in this case, we're going to let T equal our total. Okay, and we still use that part equals percent times whole. Okay, so in this case, we don't know our part. I'm sorry, let me redo that. Hang on. It should be a T equals, we're going to move our decimal place over 1, 2 spots. 1.0575 times 140. And so then we get T equals $148.05. Either way, we get the same answer. So let's look at our second problem. It says that a customer wants to tip 15% on a restaurant bill that is $35. What will the total bill with tip be? So we know that it's 15% and the bill is $35. Again, there's two ways to do this. Method 1, T is going to equal the tip. So what we do here is first we find out how much the tip is, and then we add it to that bill. So remember, part equals percent times whole. T is my part, so T is equal to, now remember, for percent, we take that 15 and we make it a decimal, so it becomes 0.15 times our whole number, which is our bill, which is $35. If I use my calculator, I get T, the tip, is equal to $5.25. Well, now I've got to add that $5.25 to my $35, and I get $40.25. So that's how much I would pay altogether when I left the restaurant. So now let's do method 2, and that's where I take that 100% plus my 15%, and I get 115%. The 100% is my $35, and the tip is my 15% of that. So remember, T is my total cost now. Okay, and we still use that part equals percent times whole. The thing that we don't know is our total. Okay, I take this 115, move my decimal point over 2 places, and I get 1.15 times 35. So I get T is equal to $40.25. You can do this either way. It doesn't matter to me. So now we have example 3. It says a haircut cost $20. The sales tax is $4.75. Is $25 sufficient, which means enough, to cover the haircut with tax and a 15% tip? So, I've got a lot of things I have to do. Okay, I'm going to use method 2 because I think it's easier. So right now, I have a sales tax of 4.75% and a tip of 15%. If I combine those, I get 19.75%. Okay, so I can find the part and then add it to the whole, but I have to combine those things first. So remember, we're going to let T is going to be equal to the tax plus the tip. And I'm going to use that percent equation again. T equals percent times whole. So T equals, I move that decimal point 2 places over, so that's 0.1975 times my whole haircut, which was $20. So I get T is equal to $3.95. Now I've got to add that up, so it's $20 for my haircut plus $3.95 is equal to $23.95. Now I have to answer my question. So since $23.95 is less than $25, okay, there is enough to cover the cost. And that's my final answer. Now, moving on to our last example, we know that a store pays $56 for a GPS navigation system. The markup is 25%. So remember, the store pays less than what the customer pays. So the markup is 25%. Find the selling price. So we have to find the markup, and we're going to call that M. So we'll say that the markup is equal to M. Remember, we use that part equals percent times whole. We're going to substitute M for P because the markup is the part. So M is equal to percent times whole. I'm going to take my 25% and make it a decimal, 0.25 times 56. So my markup is going to be $14. Now I have to add the markup to the cost, and I get $70. So what that means is the selling price is $70 for the GPS. And that's my final answer. Complete your OYO problems and bring any questions to class tomorrow.